Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Sotah, Perek Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishna 3, Mishna Gimel, Mishna 3. Okay, now we previously learned that if, for instance, a woman who is forbidden to be married to her husband, so for instance, a divorcee to a Kohen, she's not allowed to be married, but if he does marry her, she is married. And he warns her not to go into seclusion. She goes into seclusion, she becomes a Sotah. So she doesn't drink the water. And she doesn't drink the water because the only woman who drinks the water is a woman who, after she drinks the water, will become permitted to her husband again. Her, by going into seclusion, she becomes forbidden. She drinks the water. The water proves her innocence. She can go back to her husband, if that's what the water does. But a woman who would be proven innocent from adultery, but she still can't go back to her husband because she's not allowed to be married to him in the first place, like the case of the divorcee and the Kohen. That's what we learned previously. She doesn't drink at all. Okay? She doesn't drink. And not only does she doesn't drink, she doesn't get her ksuba. Now, our Mishnah is going to deal with another kind of case like that. And the case refers to the following. The rabbis decreed, that's what this Mishnah is going to deal with, the following decree. The rabbis decreed that a man may not marry a widow or divorcee who is pregnant or nursing a baby until the baby is 24 months old. Got that? You may not marry the widow or divorcee who is pregnant or nursing a baby until the baby is 24 months old, 2 years old. Why is that? So the explanation here in the notes is the rabbis were concerned that if she would remarry before her child is 2 years old, the age at which a baby usually stops nursing, she might become pregnant from the second husband, which could ruin her milk and put her baby in danger. So the point is that 2 years was the time typically for nursing a child. And if she were to marry somebody within that time and become pregnant, that could affect her milk, which would affect the child. And therefore, they decreed that you may not marry a widow or divorcee who is pregnant or is nursing. Now, in our case, the case is going to be like this. He married her anyway. It's a rabbinic decree. So if he made kedushin on her and he made chuppah on her, they're married. They're not allowed to be married, but they're married.
Still called kedushin.
It's still called marriage. Okay, still called they're married. And therefore, what did this guy do? He warned her not to go into seclusion with someone, and she did it anyway. She became a Sotah. Now, at least midrabanan, according to rabbinic law, she cannot go back to, let's say she drinks the water, she's innocent. Can she stay married to him? No. She still can't stay married to him. So what's going to be her status in this case? So says the Mishnah. Muberes chaveiroi menekas chaveiroi. Somebody who married the pregnant woman, the pregnant woman of the pregnant wife, the pregnant ex-wife of his friend, the nursing ex-wife of his friend, which he wasn't allowed to do. What's the halacha if they become a Sotah? Lo shoysos, they cannot drink. Lo noitles ksuba, nor do they take their ksuba. Divrei Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, this is another case of where a woman cannot return her husband even if she's proven innocent from adultery, and therefore she doesn't drink. And as we had before, in these kinds of cases where she can't go back to her husband and she was a Sotah, she's not going to get her ksuba, even though she can't be married to him outside of the issue of Sotah. She doesn't get her ksuba because of the fact that, again, she shouldn't be any better than another woman who became a Sotah and like the Arusa, right? The Arusa, she doesn't drink, she becomes a Sotah. She can't drink, she doesn't get her ksuba. This woman isn't going to be any better when she can't drink, and she won't get her ksuba either, which was the the same pattern as we had before. But again, this is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. The Chachamim say, no, we can look at her as a woman who can come back to her husband. Why? Because yachalu lahafrisha ulachzir lachazman. He can separate her from him, he can divorce her, and then take her back. Basically the prohibition is only during the 24 months. After the 24 months, he's okay. So according to the Chachamim, even if at first he married her in a forbidden manner, because he married her before the 24 months, if he divorces her and waits the 24 months, he can take her back. So therefore the Chachamim say it's not like a divorcee to a Kohen who can never go back to her husband. She wasn't supposed to be with her husband in the first place. She is someone that you can rectify, she can come back. Not immediately after she drank, not immediately. She can't come back immediately, but eventually she could come back to him. If he divorces her and then waits, he can take her back. If so, she is considered a woman who can return to her husband, and she will drink the Sotah water. She is eligible to drink the Sotah water, because she's not a woman who can't go back to her husband. She could go back to her husband, because after she comes out, she didn't commit adultery. As long as he divorces her, and they're separated until 24 months are over, then she could come back. So therefore the Chachamim say that's considered a woman who can return to her husband. But Rabbi Meir, who disagreed with this, he is of the opinion that no. According to Rabbi Meir, if you broke the rabbinic decree of marrying this woman before 24 months, even after you divorce her and wait till the 24 months are over, you cannot take her back. And therefore, according to Rabbi Meir, she's just like the divorcee to the Kohen. She can't go back to her husband even after she drinks the water and is proven innocent. That's the first case of the Mishnah. Now we have another case. The other case dealing with a person who has not yet had children. He hasn't had children. He has not yet performed the mitzvah pruavu of having children. And therefore, such a person, again, according to Rabbi, is not allowed to marry certain women. Certain women who cannot give birth to children, they may not marry. And therefore, here's the next case. Ailinus uzakena v'shenaruya leiled. A woman is an ailinus. Ailinus means that she's assumed to be incapable of bearing children because she has not grown pubic hair or developed the other physical characteristics of a mature woman. There's something about her that is underdeveloped. And the signs of her underdevelopment are a sign that she cannot have children. Or zakena, she's already past childbearing age. Or she can't give birth. Why? Because she took something that sterilized her. That's what she did. That's the case. She took it that sterilized her. So now, so again, is this person allowed to marry her? No. The person didn't have children. He's allowed to marry her? No. But he did. And they were married. And he warned her not to go into seclusion, and she did. And she became a Sotah. Okay, so now what happens to her? So the first opinion of the Mishnah reads, Lo shaisis, they don't drink. They know it's ksuba, nor do they take a ksuba. They don't drink because they can't go back. He's not allowed to be married to her. And even after she drinks and she's proven innocent from adultery, he can't be married to her because he has to have children and they can't have children. So therefore, says the Mishnah, there's no drinking, and again, there's no taking the ksuba. She's like, she can't take her ksuba because she's like the other women who cannot drink, and we say, look, you cannot drink because of the fact, at the end of the day, the whole situation comes about because you went into seclusion, became a Sotah, and therefore, under many of the situations we said before, if she can't drink, she doesn't take her ksuba. The only times she does take the ksuba is when the husband doesn't allow her to drink. But if at the end of the day she can't drink, she's the one whose actions cause her to be considered to be suspect of adultery, and therefore she doesn't get her ksuba. Now, Rabbi Eliezer says, he argues on this. He has a very interesting argument. There's a solution here. If he takes a second wife, which according to Torah law the man may, he takes a second wife who he could have children from, then he can keep the other wife. If he has a wife by which to have children, that permits him to stay married or to be married to these women who aren't childbearing. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer says, why are you considering him? Why is this situation? You're considering the situation that he can't be married to her, because she can't have children. He needs to have children. They can't be married, and you're saying, well, they can't be married. She's not going to drink. But he says, but I can consider her marriageable because the person could take another wife and have children and then be allowed to be married to her. And therefore, Belezer says, because of that argument, you can consider her a woman who can go back to her husband, and you'll give her to drink the Sept water. But the halacha is not like Belezer, because according to Belezer, I guess the argument would be, but at this woman right now, as she is, you can't take her back. So you want to say, yeah, I can take another wife, but we have to focus on this woman. And this woman, as is right now, there's nothing you can do from her part. In the case before, when you're talking about the pregnant or the nursing, she herself divorce her and then take her back. There's something that you can rectify about her herself. In this case, though, you can't rectify her. You've got to find another wife. And therefore, being that from her point, there's nothing you can rectify, that's not considered a woman who can go back to her husband, and she wouldn't drink. Usha'ar kalanoshim. And now the Mishnah says regarding all other women who are a Sotah, other women, regular Sotah, no other complications about them. They're allowed to be married to you. If they drink the water and they're innocent, they can go back to the husband. Usha'ar kalanoshim. And regarding all other women, oishaises are like scuba. Either they drink or they don't take eksuba. Now what that means again is if they don't drink on their own, if they decide not to drink, and again we're talking about they decide not to drink before the name of Hashem is erased into the water, and that's their choice not to drink. So if they don't drink, they're not going to take the eksuba. Because at the end of the day, this is something just kind of, repeating this. We had this before, but the point is that, after talking about all these cases of where she can't drink halachically according to the law, we don't allow her to drink. But any other woman who has the opportunity to drink and doesn't is not going to take her ksuba, because at the end of the day, it was her actions that made her to a Sotah. It's her actions that make us question if she's an adulteress. She's the one who made herself forbidden to her husband, and therefore she's not taking ksuba. If she drinks and she's innocent, fine. Then he decides to divorce her, she gets her ksuba. But when it comes to but the rule is she has to either drink or then she doesn't take her ksuba. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.